Good morning, students. Today we will study about the sexual reproduction. In the previous class, you have learned about the different strategies taken by the organism during the process of asexual reproduction. Here we will study about the second important types of reproduction, that is the sexual reproduction. During the process of asexual reproduction, you have seen that there is involvement of a single parent. But here in case of sexual reproduction, there are involvement of two parents, one male and another female. That means there are two different types of, that is the dissimilar gametes will be produced by the male and female, and their fusion will take place. This is the process of sexual reproduction. That means the sexual reproduction process involves the fusion of two dissimilar gametes produced by male and female. The process is a complex one and involve the several steps. Look about those steps one by one. The first important thing is that here in case of the sexual reproduction, there are involvement of two parents. The first important thing, involvement of two parents, that is one male and the one female. Male responsible for production of male germ cell and the female responsible for production of female germ cells, and thereafter their fusion will take place. Formation of gamete. The second important step in the process of sexual reproduction is the formation of gametes. There are specialized cells or tissues are present. You may not see these things in case of the asexual reproduction at their entire body part responsible to participate in the process of asexual reproduction. But here in case of sexually reproducing organism, there are specialized structures, there are specialized cells are present which are responsible for the production of gametes. And the process of formation of gametes is known as the gametogenesis. The process of production of gamete is known as gametogenesis. Gametogenesis. The gametogenesis. The gametogenesis. The gametogenesis process. That means the production of or formation of male gametes or male germ cell, formation of male germ cell and the formation of female germ cell, formation of female germ cells, female germ cell. This formation of male germ cell, the formation of male germ cell is commonly known as the spermatogenesis, as because sperm is the male gamete. Spermatogenesis. This is some term, and the process of formation of female gamete is known as oogenesis. So these are the some terminology which are for the gamete formation. That means male gamete if formed, that is spermatogenesis, and the female gamete will form. This is the oogenesis. So these are the some terminologies related with the gametogenesis. The first step is the involvement of two parents. The second step, we have seen that there is a formation of gamete. There is a formation of gamete, that is the gametogenesis. The male germ cell, male gamete produced by male. The male gamete is small. This is the special features of the two different gametes, the two dissimilar gametes. What is this special feature for the male germ cell produced by male? The male gamete is small it is motile and a very less amount of nutritive materials is present, and it is known as sperm. Okay. Now the second important thing, the female germ cell which produced by the female, it is larger, non-motile, that means the passive, and laden with stored nutrients. The female gamete is known as ova or egg. The gametes, the gametes which form with by the process of gametogenesis, that means the formation of sperm and ova, takes place by the process of meiotic cell division. In the introductory class of this chapter, we have learned about the meiosis, where there is a formation of the daughter nucleus with the halved number of chromosomes in respect to their parent. So here, this is the point, the gametes are haploid and are produced by meiotic division. That means during the formation of gametes, the process of cell division is meiosis type, in which the number of chromosomes will be reduced half of the parent in respect to the parent cell. Here a few steps more here, like the fusion of male and female gamete is called fertilization. It is an important act during the process of reproduction. That means the fusion of gametes takes place, that is known as fertilization, which results in the formation of a single diploid zygote, The zygote formed by the fusion of male sperm and female ovum gametes undergo repeated mitotic division to form a multicellular embryo, and after embryo there is a differentiation development by which a new organism has formed. Here may look this, then may you understand in a well manner these two steps. Suppose there is a male parent, there is a female parent. The male parent and the female parent both possessing the number of chromosome, that is the diploid. It may denoted by 2n. It may also denoted by 2n. That means the full set of number of chromosome present in male. If you will talk about the human, and the example may you put here for human, that means in the male 46 number of chromosomes and in the female 46 number of chromosomes present. But what happened during the process of formation of gametes? That means when there is a formation of male germ cell and the formation of female germ cell. During the formation of male germ cell, that means from the male gonad, that is the testes, and from the female gonads, that is the ovaries, if there is a formation of, that means the process of gametogenesis when occur. जब इसमें गैमेट बनने जा रहा है, मेल जब गैमेट बनाने जा रहा है, तो उस समय जो है यानी कि स्पर्म जब बनेगा तो वहाँ पे meiosis division follow होगा. Due to that division, what will happen? The number of chromosomes will be reduced to half in respect to parent. If there here is the number of chromosomes is 46, it is here 23. Understand? Similarly, in the female germ cell also, if there are number of chromosomes 46, it will be here 23. Why it will happen? Why not there is a process of mitotic cell division in state of meiotic? You may look here that if there is no meiosis and there is a mitotic cell division, then what will happen? The chromosome number during the formation of male germ cell, if the chromosome number of mother cells repeated, that means the parent cells repeated, and similarly if during the formation of female germ cell if the number of chromosomes number will be repeated. Then what will happen? If it will united during the process of fertilization, fusion will take place. Then there is a 46 plus 46. And similarly, if this will again produces the two different gametes, the male and the female, then what happened? Once again there is a formation of doubling of this here and doubling of this here, and in this way there is a large number of chromosomes will be produced, and there is a no stability of the chromosome numbers generation to generation. ऐसा होने से क्रोमोसोम नंबर की स्टेबिलिटी नहीं रहेगी और दुनिया में केवल जो है डीएनए ही डीएनए दिखाई देने लगेगा, इतना प्रोडक्शन इसका बढ़ जाएगा। इसलिए यहाँ पर एक स्पेशल स्ट्रेटेजीज अपनाया गया, जिस स्ट्रेटेजी के कारण जिस मैकेनिज्म के कारण यहाँ पे क्रोमोसोम नंबर रिड्यूस हुआ, और ये फिर जब हैप्लॉइड जो है जर्म सेल जो है मेल जर्म सेल और फीमेल जर्म सेल जब फर्टिलाइजेशन हो गया यानी कि फ्यूशन हो गया तो ज़ायगोट का फॉर्मेशन हुआ, और इस ज़ायगोट में अगेन द क्रोमोसोम नंबर इज री एस्टेब्लिश्ड, दैट मीन्स इट इज अगेन डिप्लॉयड इन द zygote cell. The chromosome number will be diploid, and this zygote is the first cell of the newly producing organism. After fertilization, the zygote is formed. This zygote, after repeated mitotic division, they will form embryo, and this embryo after differentiation may form the new organism. In this way these are the some steps during the process of reproduction, sexual reproduction. Understand? In case of the asexual reproduction, we have seen that there is a error during the DNA copying. This error led to the formation of variations in the offspring. These variations, how their chances are greater in case of the sexually reproducing organisms are clearly here looking. In this way, that during the process of the meiosis cell division, when the formation of male germ cell takes place and the formation of female germ cell takes place, at that time the mechanism of the DNA copying and the other related process, that means the formation of the cytoplasm and etc., that will lead to the formation of that will lead to greater chances for the variations, as because male parents here this type of chromosomes number when reduced, half will be here and here also half, then there is a mechanism, that is the meiosis, and in this mechanism there is a reshuffling of the chromosome number, and that chromosome number is not only reduced, there is a several steps in which there is a recombination and the reshuffling takes place, and during that process there is a greater chance of the errors during the copying of the DNA, and there is a greater possibilities of the variation in comparison to the asexual reproduction. In this way, this will may give a new variant. Again, this will when produce after the differentiation, when the new organism will form. If this new organism again undergo for in the next generation for from their male parent and female parents, from this new organism when produce again the male and female gamete, then again there will be the meiosis division, again there will be reshuffling of the chromosome, again there will be the reduction of the chromosome, and again there will be new varieties, new variations will be approached, and this will be going on generation to generation, and that is very important part during this process of sexual reproduction. Now, after this introductory discussion in the sexual reproduction, now we have the two important parts in this topic, that is the sexual reproduction. How does sexual reproduction take place within the flowering plants, and how does sexual reproduction take place in the human. This is the two important subtopics which we will study. The first we look about the sexual reproduction process in the flowering plants, that is the angiospermic plants. Now we will study about the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. In the earlier part of this class, you have seen a general procedure and a general rule about the sexual reproduction. That's why I have given you several steps what will happen in this process, like the formation of gamete produced by the both male and female partner, and their fusion, fertilization, after fertilization the formation of zygote and the development of zygote in the embryo, and their differentiation ultimately lead to form a new organism. So these things are the common for all the sexually reproducing organisms. But here actually now we want to know specifically what will happen during the process of sexual reproduction in flowering plant. You well know that sexually reproducing organism having the specialized cells, that is the germinal cells, are the reproductive part that will produce germinal cells. Like in cases of the animal, we have an idea that there are presence of gonads. You have also seen this terminology in case of the hormone, where from a variety of hormones secreted that will control the secondary sexual features as well as the formation of the sperm and the ova in male and female respectively. ये सारी चीज़ें आपने देखा है इससे पहले. तो हम ये समझ रहे हैं कि सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन के जो प्रोसेस हैं उसमें एक रिप्रोडक्टिव पार्ट हमें तलाश करना है. हमें देखना है कि किस ऑर्गेनिज्म में कौन सा रिप्रोडक्टिव पार्ट है. एक जनरल तो वो मालूम होगा कि मेल जो रहेगा वो मेल गैमेट बनाएगा, फीमेल जो रहेगा, मगर हम उस मेल और फीमेल गैमेट के बनने का जो स्थान है that is the reproductive part. So this reproductive part may not similar in cases of the both animal and plants, as because they both are structurally may differ with each other. Basic features are similar. Both are the living organism. Both are sexually reproducing, but there are body designs different, and that's why now we have the first to know that which parts are involved in during the process of sexual reproduction in case of the flowering plant, which is also known as the angiospermic plant. So in case of the flowering plant, flower is the part where we may see the different reproductive parts, like the male reproductive part and the female reproductive part. That's why first we look about the structure of a flower, the reproductive part in the plant located within the flowers. That's why flower is defined in this manner, that flower is the most attractive and reproductive parts of plant. Reproductive parts of plant. That's why we define flower in this way कि ये सबसे अधिक attractive और reproductive part है. इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि we will get the male and female reproductive part in this flower part. So first look about the structure of this flower. Here this diagram, in which we have shown all the 4 important parts, which is also known as the parts of flower, that is the whorls. It is also known as whorls. So there are altogether 4 important whorls, and there is also basal swollen part. But besides this and beside this, the filament, there are presence of the 4 important parts. What are these 4 important parts? Number 1, calyx. Calyx, that is the sepals. It is known as sepals, and it is leaf-like green parts. This is the first part, and it is the first outermost whorl of the flower, which looks like leaf, and it protects the inner whorls of the flower, which protects the inner whorl of the flower. Now the second part, that is the petals or corolla, that is the petals. This is the brightly colored, the shape and color may be different. It is maybe 2 or 3 or maybe few in numbers, and having the capability to attract the insects and birds during the process of pollination. One more important features in case of the flowering plant reproduction, that is the pollination. That means the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma. You may see here that this is the petals. Here may you have seen this is the second part. Now these 2 parts are not directly involved during the process of reproduction. That is why it is also known as accessory whorls. But the third and the fourth is the main part which are directly involved, and that is the reproductive part. The androecium and rhoecium. This is the stamen, that is the male reproductive part of flower. So this is the actually it has the 2 important part, the filament and the anther. A filament, B anther, and this together is known as stamen. This together is known as stamen. Androecium, it is the male reproductive part of the flower. That means this is the part which is responsible for production of male gamete. Okay. Now the fourth one. That is the gynoecium. It is known as carpel, and we also it known as pistil of the flower. What is in this diagram, where is the carpel? In this diagram, this is the structure of carpel. From this to this entire structure is the carpel. But carpel again divisible into 3. That means the female reproductive part, carpel, is divisible into 3 distinct important part. The first one is the stigma. It is the receptive part of the pollen grains, and the second important part is here the style, and the third is the ovary. The ovary where the egg cells are present, and in this egg ovules are here where the egg cell is present, and that egg cell fertilize with the male gamete. There are so many things which you look here within the ovary during the process of fertilization. So these are the 4 important parts of the flower. Again, you may carefully listen. Number 1, calyx. Number 2, corolla. It is the unit part Each and every unit part of the calyx is the sepals, each and every unit part of the corolla is the petals, and the endoecium is the male reproductive part. It is known as a stamen. It has the two important parts. The number one is the anther, where the pollen grains are formed. This is here are presence of the chambers, pollen sacs, where from the pollen grains are produced. And this is the filament, and the fourth important part is gynoecium, that is the female reproductive part. That means endoecium, that means stamen, is responsible for production of male germ cell, and the gynoecium, carpel, responsible for production of female germ cell. So this is the, now look about the fertilization process of the flowering plant. You have seen here, just you have seen that different parts of the flower, but it is not essential or necessary that all the four parts are present within a single flower. Maybe some flowers may be the unisexual flower, that means either stamen or carpel is present. That flower like the papaya, watermelon, and similarly the flower may be the bisexual, that possessing both the stamen and carpel, that means the bisexual. It is also known as hermaphrodite. In case of the bisexual flower, both the male and female reproductive parts are present in the same flower. But in that, actually the process of sexual reproduction is involved in where you have seen the different steps, like the formation of gametes, like the just after the formation of gamete, the gamete must be transferred from the male to the female, and that is known as the fertilization. After transfer, it will fertilize with the egg cell at the female gamete. So that's why here in case of the flowering plant, there is one more important step, that is the pollination. That means how if this part, that is means the stamen, is responsible for formation of the male gamete, but this part where within this ovary there are presence of the egg cell, that means the female gamete will present here, the female gamete is here. Then from this part to this part there is a transfer of gamete take place, but that transfer, before that transfer there is a process, that is the pollination. That is why it is known as the process of transfer of pollen grains from anther. The process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma is known as the pollination. Once again listen, the process of transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma is known as pollination. And pollination is of two types depending upon the plants body structure, their varieties and their features. They may be two types. What are these two types? The self-pollination and the cross-pollination. Suppose there is a plant. In a plant there are presence of such type of flowers where both male and female parts are present. Then there is a possibility of the cross self-pollination. That means in that plant, if the both parts male and female present, there is a process of transfer of the pollen grains from anther to the stigma takes place. And that is why here the flower, depending upon the nature of the flower, the nature of the process of pollination, the process of self-pollination again divisible into two parts, autogamy and the geitonogamy. That means the plants where, suppose, may you understand it with the help of this simple diagram. Suppose here is the part of the flower. Here is the part of the flower. On the same plant, if there is in the same flower, on the same plant, within the same flower, if there is a transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma takes place, like from this part to this part, or from, if they both possess if it possesses both the male and female part, suppose it possesses male part also and female part also, then there is a self pollination within this. And again, if there it is maybe possible also that on the same flower there may be possibilities of the transfer of pollen grains from here to this, but on the same flower, on the same plant, that is the autogamy. But it is maybe possibilities that in that plant there are maybe presence of different flowers, but on the same plant the flowers may be different. Maybe flower here, one flower is here, maybe one flower is here, maybe one flower is here. If the transfer of pollen grains from this flower to this flower on the same plant takes place, that is also the self pollination, but the type is changed. That is known as geitonogamy. So this is the self pollination and its type. Here the example of Xenis plant and the pea plant. And the cross pollination means if the transfer of pollen grains takes place from one plant to the other plant of the same species, that is the cross pollination. During the process of cross pollination, there are various abiotic and biotic agents required that will helpful in regard to transferring pollen grains from the one plant to the another plant of the same species. If there will be involvement of the biotic agencies like the birds, insect, this is known as the biotic agents, and if there is a abiotic like air, water, then that is the abiotic agencies. So that means in cross pollination there will be requirement of an agent or agency, and in the self pollination there is also requirement, but here as it is must in case of the cross, as because it may away from the one plant may be here located and then another of the same species may be located in the other place. So that's why the transfer without agent is not possible. Understand? So this is the way how the pollination occurs. The pollination may be of the two types, self pollination and cross pollination. And now look about the process of fertilization in case of the flowering plant. That is the important part and the last part of this topic. I have written the definition as because there is a somewhat complications. That's why here may you clearly see it is transfer. In the case of self pollination, it is transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the same flower or of another flower of the same plant. माने एक ही पौधा है और एक पौधा के किसी एक फूल में, किसी एक फूल के बीच में अगर ट्रांसफ़र हो रहा है पोलन ग्रेन का एंथर से, है ना, स्टिग्मा पे, तो आपका ये सेल्फ पोलिनेशन का एक टाइप हुआ। और उसी एक पौधे में दो अलग अलग स्थान पे फ्लावर हैं और उसी सेम पौधे में दो अलग स्थान पे फ्लावर्स हैं और उन दो अलग स्थान के फ्लावर्स के बीच में अगर इस तरह से ट्रांसफ़र हो रहा है पोलन ग्रेन्स का तो भी सेल्फ पोलिनेशन होगा, लेकिन उसका टाइप आपने अभी देखा है ना। तो दो टाइप हम लोगों ने उसमें देखा है, उसी का हम यहाँ पे आपका इसलिए एग्जाम्पल लिख दिए और इसका डिफिनेशन। और ये दूसरा जो क्रॉस पोलिनेशन है और ये हो गया आपका कि इट इज़ द ट्रांसफ़र ऑफ पोलन ग्रेन्स फ्रॉम द एंथर फ्रॉम वन प्लांट to the stigma of another flower of another plant of the same species. Now come to know about the process of, after the pollination there will be process of fertilization. how the fertilization occurs. It is very interesting to know about the process of fertilization in case of the angiospermic plant. Here is the process of fertilization in the flowering plant. A diagram is here required to show the process of fertilization process. In the process of fertilization, in case of the angiospermic plant, you will know that there is a formation of male gamete takes place within this pollen grain. It will germinate on the stigma. But what is the meaning of the germination? Germination means when the receiving time comes, maturity will come to the stigma part. When they are able to receive the pollen grains, after that the pollen, there is a two surrounding wall within these pollen grains. The outer, which is known as exine, and the inner, which is known as intine. And when there is a development of pollen tube takes place, you may look here, pollen tube takes place, that will ruptures the style of the pistil, and then it will enter into the embryo sac or ovary. Here, in case of this ovary, there are presence of several nucleus and the cells. It is important to understand, but first look here how the male gamete form. Actually, there is a formation of two nucleus in the first stage. The first stage is the involvement of formation of two nucleus. The nucleus is known as like the vegetative nucleus or the tube nucleus or the generative nucleus. ओके, तो ये समझ लें कि सबसे पहले जो है दो न्यूक्लियस का फॉर्मेशन हो रहा है इसके अंदर, एक जनरेटिव न्यूक्लियस और दूसरा वेजिटेटिव या ट्यूब न्यूक्लियस। वेजिटेटिव या ट्यूब न्यूक्लियस डिसऑर्गेनाइज हो जाएगा, उसका कोई यहाँ पे फंक्शन नहीं है, लेकिन ये जो जर्मिनेटिव न्यूक्लियस है ये माइटोटिक के डिवीज़न के बाद दो मेल गैमेट बनाएगा। इट इज़ वेरी सरप्राइजिंग टू नो हियर दैट इन केस ऑफ द एंजियोस्पर्मिक प्लांट देयर आर फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द टू मेल गैमेट। अंडरस्टैंड, द फर्स्ट मेल गैमेट, तो दो मेल गैमेट बनाएगा। फर्स्ट मेल गैमेट विल यूनाइट or may fused with this female germ cell, which are you see here with red color. This is the female germ cell. The fertilization is completed. The fusion of the first male gamete with this female germ cell, fertilization is over. But here is the two male gamete. In the second male gamete now fused with these two already fused nucleus, that is known as polar nucleus, a definitive nucleus, and with this fusion there is a double fertilization. The process is the double पहला जो male gamete है, the first male gamete united with this, fertilization is over, but the second male gamete again united with this. अब इसके अंदर का देखिए, एम्ब्रायो सैक के अंदर का जो है, ये जो है यहाँ पे सेल है और न्यूक्लियस है, ये सेल है, ये न्यूक्लियस है, ये सेल है, ये न्यूक्लियस है। देयर आर 3 सेल्स एंड देयर आर 3 सेपरेट न्यूक्लियस आर प्रेजेंट। ओके, काउंट कीजिएगा, यहाँ 3 है। इसके बाद यहाँ पे 2 न्यूक्लियस है जो आपस में एक दूसरे से फ्यूज़ कर गया है। 2 न्यूक्लियस है जो आपस में एक दूसरे से पहले से फ्यूज्ड है। अगर आप इसको समझें n और फिर इसको समझे n, यानी कि हैप्लॉइड न्यूक्लियस अगर फ्यूज़ कर गया तो ये पहले ही से डिप्लॉयड है, पहले ही से ये डिप्लॉयड है, इसीलिए यहाँ पे जो है इसको पोलर न्यूक्ली और या डेफिनेटिव न्यूक्लियस कहा जा रहा है, डेफिनेटिव न्यूक्लियस कहा जा रहा है। याद रहेगा। अब इसके बाद देखिए क्या होता है। यहाँ पे आपने 3 न्यूक्लियस देखा, 3 सेल देखा, 3 सेल प्लस you have seen 3 nucleus also now in the first step, पहला पार्ट। सेकंड में आप क्या देख रहे हैं? सेकंड में ये जो पोलर है, यहाँ पे आप देख रहे हैं 2 न्यूक्लियस आपस में फ्यूज किया हुआ है, जिसको हम लोग कह रहे हैं पोलर न्यूक्ली या न्यूक्लियस, या इसे डेफिनेटिव न्यूक्लियस कह रहे हैं। ठीक है। अब ये देखिए यहाँ पे ये इसका हो गया। अब नीचे आइए, जस्ट इन दिस पार्ट, यहाँ पे आप देख रहे हैं कि एक ये जो फीमेल जर्म सेल है ये है, और 2 और भी इसमें न्यूक्लियस और सेल दिखाई दे रहे हैं। तो फिर यहाँ पे भी हो गया 3, 1 2 3 3 3 3 6 1 7, यानी कि 7 सेल और 8 न्यूक्लियस, यानी कि 3। अगर इसका हर एक अलग अलग न्यूक्लियस, इफ वी विल काउंट each and every nucleus, then 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 nucleus. But if we count the cellular body with the nucleus, then this is the cellular body with nucleus, 1 2 3, and this is a single cellular body where there are presence of the 2 fused nucleus. So that is also considered a single. So that's why 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 cell body with 8 nucleus. This is the unique feature of this. Now, one male gamete fused with this female germ cell, fertilization is over. Another male gamete fused with this already fused, 2 fused nucleus. That is the formation of primary endosperm. That is the formation of primary endosperm. This is the result of the second male gamete. Second male gamete, that means N plus 2 polar nucleus, 2N. So that means result is the formation of 3N triploid. That means endosperm is triploid. And in case of the first fusion, which is the main fertilization process, that means the one male gamete, the first male gamete, one male gamete, a germ cell plus union with the female germ cell, union with the female germ cell, and this is N, this is N, and this is 2N, that is the formation of zygote. The first male gamete, after the fusion of the male and female gamete, zygote has formed. From this zygote there is a development of the new individual takes place, and from the second male gamete there is a fusion with the polar nucleus, and there is a formation of primary endosperm. So this is the double fertilization in case of angiospermic plant. Here where you have, I have missed here, it is the thalamus, and this is the pedicel. पौधे के जो यहाँ पे जो फूल का जो मैंने डायग्राम बनाया था, वहाँ पे ये 2 पार्ट मैंने नहीं इंडिकेट किए थे। तो जिसके ऊपर थैलामस के ऊपर ये फ्लावर का सारे पार्ट्स हैं, और ये पेडिसेल है, यानी कि फिलामेंट जिस तरह से आपने देखा इसमें, या स्टॉक जिसको बोलते हैं फ्लावर का। किसी फ्लावर में पेडिसेल हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी होता है ना। पेडिसेलेट फ्लावर कहते हैं, अनंत सेसाइल कहते हैं। तो एनीवे, तो वी हैव सीन द डिफरेंट वेज हाउ द fertilization occur within the flowering plant. After fertilization, what will happen to the different parts of the flower which you have seen in the diagram? Like there are sepals, petals, stamens, style, stigma, all are withered off or degenerated. All will be withered off or degenerated. Ovary will change into fruits, ovule into the seeds, and the integuments of the ovules that will change into the seed coat, and here the fertilized egg which will form the, after the repeated division, will form the embryo, and then there will be differentiation of the embryo. There will be development of the polymule and radicle. From the polymule there are development of the shoot system of the plant body. shoot system of the plant body, and from the radicle there will be development of the root system of the plant body. In this way the process of reproduction, sexual reproduction completed in the flowering plant and a new individual is formed.